This is our third year. In April is when I started the club with my partner in my property management business at the time. We started the club with 5 years, with 5 members, 5 people in the room. 2 were the speakers, I was the third, and there were 2 guys that just showed up. So, and 3 years later, we have, I think, close to 1,400 people, or I don't know, it's just been crazy with the amount of interest and people that are signing up and people are coming. For those of you that are new in the room, we do this monthly. And as you will see at the end of the night, it's all about networking and it's all about sharing information. It's all about you guys talking to each other and finding out information that you need, helping somebody else with the information that you have, and connecting with everybody in the room. Every month I bring the speakers are usually people that I know really well, and people that I respect, and people that I know that are going to come up here and just share information with everybody for the benefit of everybody. And we always learn. I learn from the people that are brand new, and I learn from the people that have been doing this for many, many years. We have Gillian, and we have Rachel, and we have Monika. And they're here tonight. Like I heard a couple of them at their presentations, and Rachel is going to be, I haven't seen Rachel present on her strategy and how she makes the money, and I'm really intrigued. But it's Mother's Day next Sunday, and these are the mothers of real estate. Between the 3 of you, you have how many children combined?
Well, there's one more mother who's missing.
Yes,
between the 4
Shannon.
of us, we have 13.
13 between the 4 of you, and Shannon is missing, but she lives in
Barrie.
Barrie, right? So I'm good friends with Shannon. And I'm really excited. So what do you have for us tonight?
And based on our experiences, we decided to form a group called Mothers of Real Estate to essentially create a community that supports women, mothers, and others in order to leverage real estate to create the type of life that you're looking for. So you don't have to be a mom to appreciate the information we're going to share with you today. Really, this is about sharing knowledge, elevating your awareness, and ultimately empowering you to do what you want to do in order to achieve the things that you want to do in your life. And the message here that you're going to be hearing on a recurrent basis is that if we can do it, anybody can do it. Because sometimes analysis paralysis gets in the way. You know, we've all had those experiences and we all know what that's like. But take it from us, once you start putting one foot in front of the other, it gets easier and easier. Do we have a lot of seasoned investors in the room? Okay, so new investors, seasoned investors. Seasoned, experienced. Okay, so who's new to real estate investing? Okay, awesome. So you guys will probably get a lot of information that will hopefully empower you to take the next step. And you'll be hearing from myself, from Monika, and from Gillian all the way through, so it's not just my monotonous voice that you'll get used to. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about how we came together. The slides are a little bit hard to read, but what I want to assure you is that we're not just real estate investors, and we're not people who have created financial freedom in some cases. We are also advocates of the industry. We are speakers at national panels. We contribute to articles in the Canadian Real Estate Wealth magazine. We participate in events such as Canadian Real Estate Investor Forum. We appear on TV. We're doing a lot of things. So it's not just about speaking at networking groups. It's really about getting out there and sharing our message beyond the 4 walls. So you'll be seeing a lot more of these ladies if you haven't already in the main media. And essentially, why do we do this? Because we understand the challenges that real estate investing brings when you're juggling a lot of things in your life. As mothers specifically, we have very specific challenges. And when we got started, we didn't have other mothers that we could talk to, other mothers we could get advice from, other mothers that we can get a high five from. And it was really, really challenging. And I think we agree that it slowed down our progress. So we understand some of the constraints that women, specifically mothers, have. And we want to debunk all of those constraints and basically give you a kick in the butt and say, you can do this, you can do it better, you can do it faster. We're living proof, and we're not only going to walk the walk and talk the talk, we're also going to support you. So for those moms in the room, I think the message is probably going to resonate with you. But for everybody else in the room, I think this will probably make sense to you as well. So not only are we out there, not only are we sharing the wealth of our knowledge through media, through meetup groups, we have collectively have a substantial amount of experience. We have done over $100 million worth of real estate between the four of us. So we were mentioning that there's a fourth member of the group, Shannon Murray. She is not here today. Unfortunately, we can't always, due to scheduling, be at the same groups at the same time. But we are going to be appearing at other groups throughout the GTA throughout the month of May, and Shannon will be joining us at some of the other groups. So in the process of doing all of those different real estate investing transactions, we have covered a vast number of strategies. So you'll be hearing today from us on those different strategies. So we have student rental experience, we have rent to own, we have wholesaling and buy and holds. Does anybody know all of those names? Have you guys heard those buzzwords? Do those sound familiar? And there's a lot of mystery around them. So we're going to debunk some of those mysteries as well for you. You had a question? Okay. We are going to be taking questions at the end. We're sticking around, so don't worry. If you do have a question, jot it down. But better yet, what I'd like you to do is, as you're listening to us, jot down ideas for what actions you're going to be taking as a result of hearing this good information. Because it's one thing to sit and digest and process, but it's actually not serving you unless you're identifying what's your next move. So jot down your questions and jot down ideas for what you're going to do next. What are you going to do tomorrow? Who are you going to call? Who are you going to meet with? Okay? So I'd like you to think about that. So without further ado, I would like to invite Gillian. And Gillian is going to share her experience and her story with you.
Hey.
We just want to summarize the key points, the key takeaways that really will help you find success in whatever it is you pursue. The first point, I think you're kind of seeing a bit of a theme. There's a why. You need to figure out what is your personal why, because your why is what's going to keep you centered and focused. There's going to be obstacles in the road, there's going to be bumps in the road. There's no investor out there who truly has done it that hasn't experienced setbacks. But what keeps everybody motivated to keep going is a very strong sense of why. Why are you doing this? Who is this strategy going to help in the long run? So get in touch with your why. Get in touch.
I'm sorry.
You're next.
Let's do this.
You have to come up and project here.
The second one is to pick a strategy that fits with your life, not fights with your life. Remember, this is supposed to be enjoyable. If you're trying to move towards real estate as a way of getting away from perhaps a job that you don't like, or to change something in your life, you want to pick something you actually enjoy. Like, that's a really important part. So look at your life. What is it that you want? If you want to spend all your time on site doing a certain, then pick that strategy. If you do not want to spend your time driving, do not invest in a far remote place. It will not make you happy. So spend some time thinking about what it is about real estate, apart from the money part. I mean, about your life part that you are interested in, and then find a strategy that fits in place.
And lastly, act. And I think this has a lot to do with my closing remarks of the presentation. You have to do something. You can't just keep reading about it and talking about it to yourself or to people that are just like you that aren't doing it either. You need to take some sort of action. Join a real estate investment group. We all have investment clubs, or keep coming to clubs like this. You are all actually action takers tonight, because you are here on a Monday night. You could be watching, I don't know, I don't watch TV, but something like Grey's Anatomy or something, you know, but you're not. You're here, you're meeting people. I hope that you really choose this opportunity to meet at least 5 new people tonight. Don't just sit by yourself all shy, and make sure you talk to us as well. But yeah, take advantage of the groups, or talk to an expert like Todor, or Gillian, or Rachel, or myself, and call us, or call him, or call someone. Call someone that's done it and knows what they're doing.
I'm sure you have a lot of questions, guys. and now is the time. I always find that this is the best part of the meeting, where we create a conversation and you get questions answered for yourself. We all said what we came here prepared to say, but now is the time for you to get the most benefit of this meeting and ask critical questions for you for your next step. Because I know it always seems overwhelming. I was listening to Monika talking about the investments that she is making, and that to me, even though I have 19 years of experience, to me seems overwhelming. I don't know even where to begin. But to her, it's like she's done it a few times, it's easy. So it is very important for us, like she says, make a step. I think you said, like, what is your next step? So what is your next step, and what do you need to know tonight so we can go out tomorrow and make a step? And then the answers are going to appear. I thank you so much for coming tonight. I didn't know what to expect, even though I know a couple of you individually over the last couple of years, but I really didn't know what to expect, and this to me is just like purely brilliant, because it reinforces why I do what I do with the club and out there with my clients. We're all so very different, and what works for you may not work for me, but this is why you're all doing different things. You know, message is not like, look at me and do exactly the same thing. No, learn from my mistakes, but also learn from my philosophies on life, which is don't just sit there, do something. So like Jeff here, he was thinking, oh, I'm going to do some event and I'll probably invite 50 people, and then all of a sudden he gets this phone call and it's like, do you want to have George Ross there? It's like, imagine how many of us, you throw that big name at me, like a worldwide famous guy, huge guy, right? And like, what do? Well, freeze in fear, of course, and say, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready this year. Let me do few events of 50 people, and next year I'll build it to 60, and I'll call you 25 years from now when I'm ready to have George Ross and I'm up to this level. But no, he goes like, yeah, bring it on.
Explaining how loans work.
So rent-to-own essentially is a strategy to help a home buyer who can't qualify for a mortgage today get into home ownership. Essentially, our model is that we allow them to pick a property that they want to own that fits their budget. The key is that they have the income to support the type of property that they want to own. The other key is that the home buyer to-be has a certain amount of down payment money. And that down payment money is injected right away. So there's no first and last month's rent. There's just a lump sum of down payment money. What's nice to the investor side is their down payment actually brings down your out-of-pocket initial investment. That's what I really liked. It allowed me to take my stash of cash and stretch it out over multiple deals. Because every time I do a rent-to-own, I have somebody injecting $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 into the deal of their own money. Now that money is credited back to them at the end of the rent-to-own term, which is part of the reason how they get to the 10% down payment. But in the process, I am pocketing the initial lump sum, plus I'm building up to that 10% credit. And that elevates the cash flow essentially for me as the investor.
So they pick the house before you buy it.
There's different ways of doing rent to own. There's different models. The model that we adopted was one that allows people to succeed. And a property first model essentially says, okay, here are a few properties that I have for you, or one property that I've rehabbed, and here's the future purchase price, go. The risk in that is that a home buyer often is motivated by its availability, that they can move in because the property is available, versus it being a property that makes sense for them for the long term. So we go with tenant buyer first, figure out what they want, what can they afford, and then they go shopping for the property. So you can do property first or tenant buyer first. We do the tenant buyer first to minimize the risk, and also that when they select the property, they are more invested, they're more committed, and they'll see the process through. That's our strategy.
Sorry.
I'm just wondering, when you were doing rent to own, have you partnered with any JV partner in the past?
That's an excellent question. So in the beginning, we had to refinance our property. We had a bunch of equity sitting there, and we did a few deals on our own. But very quickly, the banks started to come down on us because we were over leveraged, and that's where we had to use the JV strategy. And yes, we've done a lot of rent-to-owns as a JV partnership, and it works really effectively if you either can't take title or you don't have the cash. Bring those two together, and you can do a lot.
Okay. So my next question actually is related to one of the scenarios me and my husband has recently encountered. We're approached by one of our friends to be a JV partner for his rent-to-own deal, and plus we're trying to do rent-to-own on ourselves as well. So, studying from the JV partner perspective, because we're going to put down payment and also secure, be qualified and secure mortgage. So basically, we are buying a house, and at the end of the term, we're just thinking from the JV partner perspective, what is the investor's skin in the game? And at the end of the day, if they cannot close on the house and we're stuck with this house, is there any exit strategy for us?
So the question is, if you're going to do a JV partnership, how do you decide the shares for both sides, and how do you deal with the risk if a tenant buyer can't buy the property at the end of the term? So the way we structure rent-to-owns is always 50-50, because as far as I'm concerned, is that you are both needing each other in order to make the deal happen. Now this means that your JV partner has to really know what they're doing. If you are just the money partner and the title partner, then you really need to have confidence in your partner that they are qualifying the tenant buyers properly, that they're running the numbers in a way that is going to create optimal advantages for everybody involved. And it's the expertise that they're bringing to the table. So 50-50, as long as you have an expert partner, makes a lot of sense. And the exit strategies at the end ultimately are that you can rent-own again, you can rent it, or you can sell it, depending on what time of the year it is. Different strategies can be applied at different times of the year. If it's a seller's market, you might want to sell. If it's a renter's market, you might want to hold it and rent it. So it's really difficult to know which one to exercise, but you've got three. You've got three. You've got three strategies. This is why my husband does the numbers, because to me this is three.
If the investor did the qualification for the tenant buyer and they did their due diligence, is there any, if we are not too familiar with, not in a very close relationship with the investor itself, is there any due diligence we need to do as a JV partner on our own?
You have to ask a lot of questions. You definitely have to have a lot of questions, and you need to be comfortable with the answers that you're getting. You need to know what to look for. There's certain things you need to look for. How do they qualify them? How do they know this family can afford the payments? How do they know that they'll be able to qualify for a mortgage? What kind of a down payment credit are they going to get? What's the appreciation on that property? Is it a realistic appreciation, or is it inflated just for the sake of giving you, a lot of rent-to-own companies out there, or even individuals say rent-to-own generates 30-40% annual return on investment. In my experience, that's an inflated number at the risk of the home buyer. And oftentimes, that causes the home buyer not to be able to qualify. So realistically speaking, when you exit all the other strategies, you end up netting around 25-30% annual return on investment. So you need to talk to your JV partner and make sure that they know what they're doing. That's the key to a JV. People who are coming in with cash, and this doesn't just mean for rent-to-own, this is for any strategy. You need to have an expert partner if they're bringing that expertise to the table. You need to have your I's dotted and T's crossed.
And there's one thing you mentioned very interesting is the appreciation of the house down like 3 years down the road. What is the best approach to determine whether the appreciation is reasonable or not? Because past performance is not necessarily indicate future performance. And we have to, what kind of process do we have to go through? What kind of parameters do we have to check? Like the market, economic fundamental. Is there any specific parameters?
Is that for rent-to-own specific or for any property?
For rent-to-own
CMHC, we want CMHC to be able to ensure that 5% down payment or 10% down payment
Okay.
And same issue when they look at the depreciation, say, oh, this is not market depreciation, they will not insure it.
Okay.
Absolutely, and that's really the risk of rent-owns. And we have seen a lot of our colleagues in the rent-own space who are seeing the problem with 5% down payment is not enough for CMHC or Genworth to insure. That's why we don't play in the 5% realm. We get our tenant buyers to a 10% credit, and they qualify hands down. So there are a lot of ways of evaluating fair market future appreciation. I probably don't have enough time here to discuss the details. You really do need to know who you're working with and understand their techniques, because everyone's techniques are a little bit different. But of course, market fundamentals are definitely important.
Go ahead, please.
This may be a question for Monika. You were a long distance owner, like owning a house in Timmins. How do you find a good property manager? Because you have to manage them over a long distance.
Yes, well, like I said, when we started out, it took us a while to find a good property manager. I think the best way to find a good property manager is through references. And you want to find other investors who are investing in that area that have a property manager. You should really meet the investor face to face and get an idea of the person, and also ask to see some pictures of their portfolio. And when you go down there to view your properties, you should have a drive by their properties as well, because you can see how their properties are being managed. And just simply by how much garbage is accumulated, is everything neat and tidy, or is the snow shoveled, is everything taken care of? So
Earlier you mentioned their pay is 10% of the income.
yes.
And what happens if the house require renovation or damaged by tenants?
A good property manager always, well, first of all, a good property manager should be monitoring the tenants so damage is not occurring, number one. Number two, a good property manager should have a long list of contractors. And you, as an owner who manages your property manager, needs to make sure your property manager is not hiring friends or just whatever. But of course, you've already interviewed this person, so you know it's a professional service. And you want to get 3 quotes minimum from 3 separate contractors, and if your property manager is not providing you that, they're not working for you properly.
If I may add to that, get a good lawyer. No, seriously, when you're dealing with contracts, when you're dealing with property managers, it's important that you have a lawyer that's in your corner.
Right.
That way you can have them read over the contracts. You don't have to try and understand them yourself.
Oh yeah, my lawyer reads everything before.
Okay,
anything we sign.
okay,
Yes.
all right.
And a really good point here is with property managers is, many people make the mistake of that the property managers are taking care of business, so they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing of passive investment, and I have my passive income. This is not what we're talking about. Like, there's nothing passive about owning a property and managing a property manager. So your focus now shifts from managing the tenant on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to managing the property manager. That's your job.
If you
You
want a
still have a
passive
job.
investment, it's a joint venture partnership in which we would be your partner, and we would manage the investment in the sense that we're managing the property manager. And we're also improving the value of these buildings to make sure that you're getting the best ROI.
So do you usually sign a contract yearly or?
Well, I haven't had any turnover from this for over 3 years now, this
Oh.
particular property management company.
Okay, that's great.
They're wonderful. It depends on your goals. It depends on what your goals are as an investor. Maybe you just want to have one investment property. If you have just one investment property, you're farther ahead of the game than most people. It sounds like you're quite ambitious. You definitely will make more money with a 6-unit building in regards to cash flow if you locate it for the right price in the right area. However, it is a lot of maintenance as well. The premise of our business, what I would suggest is if you wanted to go into a multifamily building as a novice investor, that's going to be, I hope you have a lot of time and energy, there will be a lot of mistakes. I would suggest either shadowing in a commercial mentorship or going on as a joint venture partner for your first deal, so you can shadow behind your joint venture partner in managing that investment for you.
Do you
That's
offer
what I
that?
would say. Absolutely. Absolutely. And And you're right, the funding is totally different for commercial versus residential. They do look at you still, but they do put more weight on the building, and we never do a commercial opportunity without a vendor take back of some sort.
Are the current investment opportunity, because you said your examples are already done, right? The ones you showed us the slide with the returns and everything. Are the current ones equivalent in terms of like returns or cash flow, whatever you have available?
Okay, so yes and no. So once again, we work with individuals. We started out just in Timmins, and we quickly realized a lot of people weren't happy with just Timmins. They wanted Toronto, or they wanted different areas. And there's some people who make Toronto cash flow. I haven't figured that out, and I'm really probably not going to. You know, I love Toronto, but no, I don't invest here. I think anything's possible in real estate investing. The other markets we specialize in are Hamilton, like you said. We have 95% pocket listings in Hamilton, off-market properties. We can help you avoid bidding wars. That's one of our great markets. We also do Oshawa. We look at single-family bungalows, and we divide them into 2 units. There's nothing exciting, really, about these models. You'll get between $300 and $500 a model. It's a $60,000 investment. Your overall ROI is 20%. I think your cash-on-cash return is about 9%. So I know you're not getting excited over this $300, $400, and $500, but you have to realize when real estate investing is exciting, that means something's going wrong. Okay? This isn't a get-rich-quick thing. So you got to pick your poison. Do I want higher cash flow? Well, I'm going to have to go in different areas that maybe aren't as desirable, and the appreciation might be less. Appreciation with buildings are also less than a single-family home as well. But I have this hobby. My hobby is acquiring buildings for under fair market value with really high cap rates and compressing the cap rates and selling them to others, or heightening the cap rates. We took a building from 10% cap to a 26% cap. We increased the value from $360,000, $360, up to $700,000. So anything's possible in real estate if you know what you're doing. We also do the U.S. and once again, it's turnkey investment opportunities. We look at Atlanta and Kansas City, and we just tie them up in a pretty little parcel and hand them over to you. And if you want us to manage them, we're more than happy to.
Can you get mortgage in the U.S.?
In Kansas City, we can get 65% LTV. Sorry? In Toronto.
In Atlanta, how much?
In Atlanta. I get you a really nice home, and those homes come a lot prettier than these ones. But I would live in those homes.
I have a question for you and also for Gillian, for the student rentals. That was into that, but I was a little worried about that 4-month period and the student I'm not sure how that works. You could give something to get a
In general, landlords who have student rentals, people call it looting, that's not a nice word, but all the leases go from May to May, so that you're starting right as the school year ends and you have a signed lease through the summer. Otherwise, your numbers don't work very well. So they rent for a year, even though they're in school for 8 months, and that's just the way it is pretty much at every university town across the country. So it's not like they can say, oh, Todor's mean or Gillian's really mean, she has a 1-year lease. Everyone does.
The answer to your question is you pick a property, you pick a property that is highly desirable. The student population, like we all do, there is, say, if there's 100 houses available to be rented by students, 10 of those houses are better than the other 90 houses. So on these 10 houses, you can demand whatever you want. You can demand a higher rent, and you can also demand a 12-month lease. The bottom 10 houses are always struggling to find tenants. So these are the houses that are always reducing their rents, and they always go from a 12-month lease to 10-month lease, and finally accepting an 8-month lease. Nobody wants to accept an 8-month lease unless you have to. So when you start with a great house, you not only have the 12-month lease, but you also pick the best students. And that's my key to running a very successful student rental.
So it's possible to rent it for 12 months?
Oh, absolutely.
But not if you
Oh,
have a really
More
terrible,
likely they're gonna.
if you have a
I don't
terrible
know
run.
anybody here who stays in Toronto.
No, but if you have I think to Todor's point, if you have a terrible rundown house and it's not in a good location, it doesn't matter what lease you have, no one's gonna wanna live there. But if you have a nice house that's well situated in your college area, you can get a 12-month lease no problem.
Yeah.
So they may not necessarily stay.
My-
No, and
my
they can
houses-
sublet it, no, but they can be empty or whatever, but they're paid for.
My houses are empty in the summer months, but people were paying because they want to put their kids in a nice house. There's no ifs and buts about it. You want a nice house, you have to pay. If you don't want to pay, then you go into a not so nice house. End of story.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, I have a question for Monika about this working class properties. I'm also trying to look into that. The idea is appealing to you also? Like downside of that, where you're gonna get into that, I don't know if the houses there is more distance and all that stuff. Maybe property management, I guess. But for me, that is a major question for me. Why do people willing to pay $900 rent when the property is $40,000? Like, who would do that? Like, if I could buy something here, I would love to pay that.
Because you're a home buyer, you're better than that, you're actually an investor. So you're not only buying your house to live in, you are buying your house to live in and buying properties to make money from. Not everyone is like us. There are people in this world, they are renters, they will always be renters. A lot of these miners are making $150,000 a year.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
The mindset.
I spend 160.
So there are still lots of people who actually be paying that kind of higher rent for $40,000.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. We always focus on that working class because working class can attract good tenants that probably never will be homeowners. You would convert it to a rent to own, like Gillian's saying. If your homeowners ask, can I buy the property, I'll rent.
My question comes to you regarding the corporation that you would like to incorporate it to a property doing corporation. How do you take care of the liability?
How do you take care of the liability?
Like we are told that we should always incorporate to protect us from any eventual liabilities that could come with owning a property.
So my properties are now under a corporation, but at the beginning, I didn't know any better. And to me, it was really, I didn't think about the whole protection thing. I didn't approach it that way. I talked to my accountant and I kind of said, I want to invest, I want to help people. And there was really no concern about protecting my assets because the way we were structuring our business didn't require that dimension. So it really depends on what kind of business you're into.
The answer is insurance.
Yeah, absolutely. Insurance offsets a lot of those.
Insurance, $2 million liability minimum.
And it depends also. When you're doing rent to own, we've got our tenants who have contents insurance, we've got property insurance as investors, so that covers quite a bit.
In order to make money in the buy, how do you buy? What is your personal strategy to find motivated sellers? Preferably the one that wants to do seller's finance.
Sometimes when I started out, I went on the premise 100 properties a month, tie up 10 properties, and close on one. And I did this for years, religiously, and wholesaled numerous properties. But what I didn't realize while I was doing that was building up lots of contacts and lots of people. And like I was saying, we have an investment club as well, and we are building up more contacts through that too. So now, a lot of people just come to me and say, I want to offload my whole portfolio. Here, do you want first dibs at it? Can you offer to your investors? So I say, okay, great. Can you reduce it, like 80%, of the value? Or can you at least, let's waive off the realtor's fees, all these sort of stuff. For a quick sale, what's your lowest price? So now I can come to you guys and say, I have these properties available for you. They are X amount below fair market value. Do you want them? Who can close on this?
So the key is volume at the beginning, and then build from that volume to your network.
The key is hard work. and perseverance, a lot of looking, a lot of meeting people, and a lot of finding what's available out there.
Will you mainly do through, not realtor, ICX.ca, or you?
I used to do Kijiji and Realtor and ICX and all these sort of things. But now I have like wonderful agents, like say an agent like Todor, but we don't do this yet. We should talk actually. But so we'll work with agents, say like who focus on exclusive listings or pocket listings, and they know that they can do a one-sided deal by bringing it to us, and we can turn the property for them quickly. And they'll, as an appreciation factor, they will give us first dibs on these properties, which is why I say we have access to off-market properties. Sometimes we get people's portfolios and they just want to hold the entire mortgage, and they do ridiculous like amounts. They'll hold like 95%, vendor take back or something. And that, I know your eyebrows raising, it sounds good, but sometimes I play with the numbers and do the numbers and say, look, it's not good, you're going to do this percent or that percent. We tweak it, I say to investors, you need to put this down or you're not going to make money. Like, what do you want? What is going to work here? So I liaise between the two parties and create win-win situations. I do not approach people and write things on the paper and slide it back and forth and do these disgusting lowball prices, and like they teach you in all these real estate investment courses, and to write, if you go and write 20 conditions on a thing, someone's going to take your offer, crinkle it up, and throw it on the floor. Okay, you got to be smart, but you got to be quick, and you have to be realistic. Those days of smokes and mirrors and these old games are over. Everyone's doing them, and everyone's looking in the same place. You have to be professional, but you have to be smart.
On average, how many conditions you put in your schedule?
I don't know. I probably just put in maybe 2 pages of conditions. We always usually have longer for financing for the commercial aspect. And just everything's pretty standard. We have our insurance, we have our home inspector, and we always have partners approval, or solicitors approval. We normally have the right to assign deals. Sometimes it depends what we're doing and what the investor we're working for is doing as well. So we always make sure you're really, really protected, because like say if there's tenants in there who have outstanding rents due, well, that has to be rectified prior. Or if we were to buy a vacant unit, then we need to, that goes in the contract as well. So for our joint venture partners, or even sometimes when we're doing assignments, we will structure the whole, like take all that into consideration when writing that into your deal.
Stephanie had a question and we have to end it.
Actually, yeah, it's a quick one for Rachel. Because I'm really sort of attracted to the rent-to-own strategy, and I was curious where you get a lot of your tenants from. Like, how do you just have a website to advertise it? They come to you now, or how do you go about getting your?
That's a very smart question. So if you are considering rent to own, actually what we found, the success lies in the tenant buyer side. It's not about the property as much as it is finding the right tenant buyer and qualifying the right folks.
I bet that's the hardest part, basically.
It is the hardest part, absolutely. And a lot of it is trial and error. We made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and we learned from those mistakes. Kijiji is not what it used to be, I'll tell you right now. Over the years, we've really gotten really good at what we do, and we're so fortunate to have people calling us. We don't have to hunt for tenant buyers. We have 100 applications a month coming through. And I'll be honest with you, 1 in 10 passes Mr. No's guidelines.
Yeah.
So there are very specific things that you can do to attract the right tenant buyer, and that's one of the things that we coach investors on, because if you can get one thing right, it's that. And there's a lot more to it than just do this, do that. Because just because you put out an ad, for example, in a community newspaper and your phone starts to ring, you got to know what questions to ask. But more importantly, you need to know what answers to listen for. So unfortunately, it's not a quick answer to your question. There's a lot more to it. But I'd be happy to talk to you offline.